Y'all, my friend, my boo thing is in the waiting room. Giorgio Says is here with us. He is coming to rewind all things Real Housewives of New Jersey, child, all things Pizzagate. We gonna get into getting into it, baby. If it is tea to be spilled, it's gonna be spilled on the table, baby. Please hold on to your wigs. I'm gonna let him in, and we are getting ready to rewind about it all. I'm Elle, and this is the Real Housewives Rewind. All right, y'all. I already told you who was in the waiting room. Giorgio Says is here. You know why he's here. So we're going to skip the niceties and go straight into it, baby. Jennifer Aiden and Dolo are bridesmaids.
What an epiphany. I don't even get images like that. I think I just need to meditate more, but
I meditate on a regular and it don't come to me like that.
I
Like,
don't get images like that. So crystal clear, like how Teresa was like, I just envisioned both of you walking down the aisle. I was like, okay.
Tell me more.
I also found it interesting that we got this like flashback to Dolores and Jennifer's lunch when Teresa called and told them this. So I was just like, why all of a sudden? But then I did find it interesting that the tie back to what Joe said about the Dina and the husband situation,
Dina Louis
left
situation.
her with a couple holes in the bridesmaids group. So that kind of, I don't know, kind of makes sense.
But then also didn't it, and this can be a spin from the other side, but didn't it also come out that Dina didn't want to like be at the wedding because it was going to be filmed?
I don't know if it was as much that. I think she also doesn't want to be around certain people like Dolores. I know her and Dolores don't get on at all. But I think what Joe said, I think rings a little. I had heard some rumblings back when around the engagement party, I knew Dina wouldn't go to the engagement party because of Dolores. But
my thing is, what actually happened there? Like, we are talking about very grown women at this point. Like, you mean to tell me you dislike somebody so much that you can't collect a check? You can't come and do a few scenes here and there and get you a little coins? Like what? Did she sleep with your man? Like, what happened? Like, what could it be that was this deep? And I love to hold a grudge. So me even asking is like,
the thing about Italian people and Mediterranean people in general, they're stubborn as we see that happening, right? This is a very good example of stubbornness. And actually, the one thing Louis said, I don't know if it was last week or this week, I think it was last week, when he was like telling Teresa, you're just like him. You get stuck on this one thing, get off of it. That is very true, but it's very much a Mediterranean, hot-blooded, egotistical, prideful thing. No one wants to admit guilt, so they will literally fight tooth and nail. And Dina is very much the same way. I mean, she doesn't even talk to her sister anymore. So if she's not going to talk to her sister anymore, well, don't think that she's going to be putting up with anything outside of that, in my mind. Now, I think there's some other stuff that went on. This is just my conspiracy theory. The thing between Dolores and her, I think they got into some stuff, and somebody might have gotten screwed over, if you will. They seem to date men that have interesting circles of business.
Interesting crews.
Yeah.
Well, from one estranged sibling group to another. All of the Grouse, Fessler, Marge, Jackie, everybody seems to have questions surrounding the Danielle situation with her siblings. For those of you who don't know, Danielle isn't talking to her brother, and she's saying that it's because he was making fun of her when she was trying to be heavy into her content creator era. You know what I mean? Now, the thing that had me today specifically, I was listening to this and I was like, if a new friend came into my friend group and told me they didn't talk to their sibling and told me it was a traumatic thing, would I then be like, well, there's three sides to every story, can't wait to hear the other, and then press that person forward? Or would I be like, oh my God, I'm sorry, and move on? And I think I wouldn't care.
I don't understand what all the questions were, frankly. I mean, listen, here's my thing. Danielle setting a boundary And she can't say it because she's on camera. But what she's trying to say is, guys, I'm being vulnerable. I shared something. Drop it now. You guys are now trying to turn this into some scandal. Like there's pieces of like, there's got to be something more. Why would he just stop talking to you? Well, there probably is, but she's not going to disclose
it's none of your business
on a national television show when she's already not on speaking terms with him, and then piss him off even more. She's trying to be respectful of her family. So I get that.
Right. Who's not on the show?
She could have kept that to herself. She didn't really have to come out with that. I think she used it as a way to connect with Melissa, you know, with her issues. And I think from there, but, you know, we see later in the season, Danielle.
It went left, though. And it went left for me at a weird point, like with Jackie. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Isn't there something there with you and your sister? Like, she's bugging me. And I started off this season like, oh my God, I love Jackie G. Why is she friend up? But I'm looking at her at the table like, ma'am, not too much before we start trying to figure out what's going on with you and your sister and the timeline between her and Evan and everybody. Like, shh.
Well, that's what I found so hypocritical about her reaction. It's like, well, you and your sister don't speak, and we didn't dig too hard into that. What's the problem? Also, I find that this whole being demoted really, I mean, I think she came out and said it messed with her like ego a little bit, but she is just, I don't even know. She's like trying to start crap. I don't, it's just getting on my nerves more than anything.
I take my teeth sucking back. Like, I rewind here. I think Jackie G did the thing, right? I think she came last season and she gave us real and raw and like her ED storyline, like she did not owe that to national television, period. And I think, and this is again my conspiracy, I think she gave that to us from the housewife side a little bit with the intention of this gonna eat the girls that. And then turned around and got demoted. And it's like, bro, if my this doesn't do it, there's nothing in the tank. So now let me start acting like Teresa and them, because that's clearly what you want. I do feel some of that energy from her. Like, y'all don't want the authentic, y'all don't want the real. You want it when I'm like this. Like I could really see her by the end of the season trying to flip a table on some like, is this what you want?
Yeah, because I think also too, with the ED being the main storyline for her, I think producers didn't know where else her story would go. I mean, she's not really sharing all too much. And the thing is too, I think her husband isn't as much of a storyline because of that incident with the alleged infidelity rumor. So he definitely
said,
had
nope,
to pull
this
back.
what we won't do.
Because people's jobs are on the line, and I get it. You know, it's
because the housewives don't pay that damn much. Like, we still have real bills and real jobs.
But even if they paid for one season, if you lose your job and you don't come back to the show, then what? That's the thing. I think that really, this is the tricky part of couples that want to do these reality shows. And I often talk to my partner about this all the time, because I always tell him, like, I don't want to have an opportunity and then bring it to the table and then you be like, oh, I can't do that type of, not that I would do something trashy, but like an ensemble show like Housewives, you still need to
show that part of your life.
Yeah, you gotta be, but I think it also plays into like, she probably really thought that the ED storyline was going to be big enough that it would touch enough people that they would.
She was getting ready to become the face of a company,
or maybe she would be safe for a while, because that storyline isn't something that's just going to stop. You don't just turn off.
It's always going to be a journey. Okay. So now Jackie's story is never going to stop with her ED, but her time as a what do they hold in Jersey? They don't hold anything.
They don't hold anything. I was just actually saying this last week. I was talking about, I was like, they don't hold anything. They're there. And I think the emblem is just the state.
It is. What would they hold? Like, we're the Garden State.
I was trying to figure out what would they hold. What is New Jersey known for? I mean, I don't
manufacturing.
think they
Well, not
could. They
manufacturing,
probably
but
didn't. They
shipping.
probably couldn't figure out what they could give them. So they're just like, y'all are just not going to hold on to
No,
anything.
because I can't figure out anything. Like if you look it up, like regularly in the books, it's Jersey. We got the port. We're known for shipping. The Garden State. I think our blueberries is like our claim to fame. I think right. So we can hold a hoe.
I know, but it's like,
That would be fitting.
But even Miami, like they have the mojito, you know.
Yeah, but
There's
that's like
gotta
we
be
don't
something.
even have a classic Jersey drink. What are we gonna hold?
Well, honey, there's
wine
nothing really
and Coke
classy going on in Jersey. It's Jersey. I mean, half my family lives there. It's like when I watch these episodes, I'm like, oh my God, I need to go see my cousins.
See, but it's so that was always my disconnect with Jersey. Like I'm a Jersey girl, but I'm Northern Jersey. Like I'm not like I am, but I'm not, right?
You're not
like,
Patterson, Jersey?
No, baby, I am not Patterson, Jersey, okay? No.
Fair.
But like
Patterson is not that bad. I mean, it was a little rough back in the day. It's not the way Teresa.
I mean, again, like I'm a Jersey girl. Like I'm like, you know, if anything, I'm more of a North girl than I am of a Patterson girl, but I'm neither. Like if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But the thing that the disconnect was always for me, like I don't know people like that. And the same for Jersey Shore. Like I don't know fist bumpers, but where I went to school, the Italian Jewish community was very, very heavy. I grew up in Catholic school. So it was like, once I did start watching, I was like, oh, this is kind of home, like
ish,
kind of like adjacent, you know? Anyway, speaking of home, you were telling me off air that you grew up with your mom and your auntie reading, is it Coffee Grinds? Am I saying that correctly?
So it's, well, technically, but it's basically, so what they do is they make you like a little espresso, basically. Okay. But it's much thicker, like the actual, like the grinds or whatever. They're so finely milled, but they're packed. So what happens is you're supposed to drink it just enough to leave a little bit of liquid. Okay. And then you take the plate of your cup set, put it on top, flip it over, you move it around. And the point is you're supposed to kind of meditate on that, give your energy over. And then as you're spinning it, it kind of drains down the sides of the cup, and then you leave it until it dries. And then when you flip it, you'll get this like almost... It looks like scribble, but there's
but like the trace of the
letters. And so, yeah, I grew up, my mom would do it for her friends. Her girlfriends would come over. They would just sit, have coffee, and then go do that and smoke like 2 packs of cigarettes. And then they would have a time. So, yes, it was very
that's when
nostalgic
you could
to watch.
See that somebody with the L was trying to stab Margaret in the back, right? That's
so
where
that is where she was good. She was fine with Dolores and with Rachel. And then when she got to Margaret and then the L, I would have, if she didn't give all the rest of the details, the L, I would have been like, okay, yes, she could have seen a letter. That's common.
Perfectly fine. Okay.
But when she was going into all the details specifically, I was like, that's not, you don't get this much information.
When she was so vague on Rachel's, but then so specific on everybody else's, I wouldn't have even cared about endorsements if she wasn't already so vague in other places. You know what I mean? And I was just like, one of these things is not like the other big dog.
Yeah. And why did Margaret get such a detailed, like, it's funny. And then it continued, obviously, because then when she was reading Jennifer, it was like another one of those where it's like, what endorsement? What do you had like who full words? That? Yeah, like it was really, that's why I was like, okay, everyone's not taking this seriously. There's no way.
No, there's absolutely no way. And from one joke to another, you like how I lead into these?
Yes.
little segue. From one joke to another, we'll jump into Pizzagate, because if that's not a joke, can you please, for me and for all of the awesome people watching, can you give us the breakdown? Tell us why this is a thing, and tell us where we are to date. Like where did we land?
For today. Okay, so shout out to your moms are watching on Instagram because
hey Thea.
Shout out to your moms are watching who got the Gorga side of the Pizzagate story. But this is an email, okay, where it displays how much the invoice amount was for the pizza ovens that Louis offered to purchase, okay? So 104, just shy of 105K.
Through her connection, she was able to get, I guess, the Gorga side of this whole Pizzagate situation. Okay. So as we learned on the episode, allegedly Louis lost out on 250K and, you know, there was some back and forth about it, but we didn't really understand.
No-No's Pizza, skinny Italian pizza.
So the story basically goes like, initially Joe wanted him and Teresa to do this pizza kit oven thing in honor of their father, No-No, and they were he wanted to call it No-No's Pizza. Talked to Louis about it. Louis really loved the idea. Louis felt that he could add a lot to the business part of it because of his marketing and online expertise, if you will. So he,
Jen Shaw.
You know, exactly. And Joe was excited, you know, like this was going to be, I mean, I'm thinking in Joe's mind, he was finding this as something that might bring them all together and make them closer.
Absolutely.
Than naming it No-No's Pizza. So I get it. I do. I know people are Teresa stans, but nonetheless, Louis, I guess, wanted to go ahead and get this whole thing started. So he offered to purchase the pizza ovens. Now, the confusing part of this is, because when I talked about it on TikTok, people were like, why did they need 2,200 pizza ovens? But what people don't realize is that they are like individual pizza ovens with the logo, and I think you get like a dough and some sauce and like cheese kind of kit that you can like whatever. But nonetheless, so originally it was going to be, so Louis said, I'll buy the ovens to get us started, right?
Wait a minute. So then when me as the purchaser, if I wanted to purchase No-No's Pizza, I would also get an oven?
Yeah. No, it's a pizza oven kit. So it's like a little.
What in the easy way?
No, it's actually a good idea if you think about it, because I mean, it's not this massive thing that I think people thought it was like those real pizza ovens, you know, like the whatever.
And I thought he had purchased the ovens for the commercial space to like.
Oh, so that's what I think
the
people
pizzas.
thought. No, so these were just for individual kits. So they were just gonna do. I guess they did whatever the minimum was.
Not Joe Gorga was getting ready to come to market with a pizza oven before Sonia.
Well, he didn't end up.
Now we're down two.
I know.
Ovens two.
Maybe
Housewives
it's not a
zero.
good business to have. I don't know. I mean, I thought it was a cute idea, but nonetheless, Louis went to buy the ovens, and he basically was like, I'll purchase the ovens. And then Joe was like, that's fine, because I'm gonna have to put money in these other areas. So it was like, made sense to me.
I'm gonna put up 250, and in some places you're gonna put up 250.
Well, the 250, this is where I was still looking for where the 250 comes in. So then we get to an email because Melissa's nephew has connections in China with different manufacturers. So they wanted, so Joe was like, okay, well, if you're gonna purchase the ovens, go through Melissa's nephew, because, you know, we can hook each other up. He's got a connection. He'll hook us up, blah, blah, blah. So that was fine. So we see an email where it's basically broken down. It's not the actual invoice, but it's almost like the breakdown of the attached invoice, if you will. Basically, like, this is how many that you're ordering. This is how much each unit is. This is the total. The total comes out to be just shy of $105,000.
I saw that.
Okay. So then from there, it starts to get wonky.
Murky as to where the
ovens logo was always supposed to be No-No's Pizza. That was the whole point of doing this. There was no other like vision for Joe. It was No-No's Pizza always. But I guess along the way, when Teresa, I guess, was thinking about it or whatnot, she wanted it to be named Skinny Italian, because I guess that links back to her brand. She had a cookbook back in the day called Skinny Italian. And Joe Gorga was like, no, I want it to be Nono's Pizza. This is supposed to be a tribute to our father.
Right.
So then Joe finds out that Teresa basically has a photo shoot with her girls behind his back. Didn't include him on any conversations, none of that. And finds out that they actually are going to just slap their name on it. And he had a problem with it, allegedly. So he confronted Louis and Teresa. It obviously didn't go well because Teresa's very defensive. So they ignored Joe for a few days. And then allegedly Teresa had her lawyer call Joe and say, you know what? We thought about it. You're right. It was your idea. So why don't we just give you 5% of the business? And Joe was like, no, this was my idea. This was supposed to be a 50-50
because you just
split.
said that. You just said it was my idea. So why would I do that?
5%. I mean, no. Why would anybody do anything for 5%? So he said no. She waited a little bit. They came back. The lawyer's like, all right, Joe, how about 10%? Final offer. And he was like, oh, no, you can keep it. Like, I'm done. Like, I don't want anything to do with this anymore. So that's where it was left off. Now, did Louis probably dump some money into the photo shoot? Sure, but that was not a $100,000 photo shoot. So I don't know where this $250 came from. And secondly, he didn't lose money. He got and still has these ovens, one of which Thea bought off of eBay today.
Now, good night. No, thank you. No, thank you.
So, you know, I know there's probably more to the story. There's always three sides, right? But we keep hearing this one-sided story from Teresa always, where it's like she's the victim, she's not doing anything wrong. And then when you start hearing the other side, like, listen, is Joe a little short, emotional firecracker? Yes. But that's every short Italian guy in New Jersey. They all like
that is absolute. I'm Jersey enough to know that.
You know what I'm saying? So when you look past the reactive behavior, he's just hurt.
He is just hurt. And I've been saying that since the christening situation. But he gonna have to go through some therapy and start working it out on my Tuesday nights. Before I let you go, 60 seconds on the clock.
Yes.
You're Andy. You get to pick. Fire, keep, demote, who stays, who goes, go.
On New Jersey, right?
On New Jersey. You can revamp the whole network.
We could be here all night. So let's see. Fire. I'll start there. That's hard.
We're gonna run out of time.
Oh, I gotta pick one. This is why I'm not gonna be good on Watch What Happens Live. I gotta be quicker. I will say,
rushing us.
I think Fire, Margaret. What was the other two?
Keep, demote.
Keep Melissa.
Fire, Margaret. Keep Melissa.
And I'm only going off of what I've seen so far, but I would say demote Rachel.
And now, baby, that is one I can agree with. Y'all, we could be here rewinding all day with you guys. Giorgio, tell us where to find you on social media.
Yeah, so you can find me on TikTok at Giorgio Says. I'm on Instagram at Giorgio Says, and I have a YouTube channel at Giorgio Says, and my podcast is Giorgio Says. So
Giorgio Says across all platforms. Guys, you could have been anywhere on the internet, but you were here with us, and that is greatly appreciated. I'm Elle Murasaki, and this has been the Real Housewives Rewind. And if you're looking for me, Housewives and Chit Chat across all platforms.